Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my Golden Shire Estate speed build. It was such a huge build that I had to break it down into 2 videos because otherwise it would have been way too long to sit through. So as you can see, today we are looking at the furnishing of the massive mansion that was created as part of a save file with the Everything Sims Facebook group. As I mentioned in my previous video, this house was designed for a specific family, so I had to furnish it based on their individual likes, their needs, what sort of job they were going to be doing, and just the storyline basically that was created by another person in the group. So basically, they were super rich, very wealthy, a little bit stuck up, and there was like one of the adult children and their husband and the child were like exiled out into the pool house. So this, what I'm working on right now, is the main house, and I went with gold colours, browns, whites, being the Golden Shire estate. And I wanted well, when I did this, I actually did it externally. So I did the outside first and then I worried about the floor plan afterwards. So I was kind of left with what I had and I had to make it work. So I decided to put the kitchen here in the middle and have the dining room and the living room either side for the downstairs part of the build. Here I'm just adding in some shelving. I wanted to change it up a little bit and have it not just stock standard. So I shrunk down some objects and created that shelving area. And I didn't want it to be too cluttered, purely for the fact that I don't think rich people have a lot of clutter. They have a lot of maids and people cleaning up after them, butlers, things like that. So I wanted to keep it relatively clutter free, but still be decorated enough that, it looked lived in. There is a dog in the family, hence the dog food. And the treats on the counter. I feel like the dog would be spoiled rotten. So yeah, I had to add in a few little decor items for that. So I have a question for you all. When you furnish and decorate your houses, do you go room by room? Or do you do, like, let's say, all the curtains at once and then like all the shelving? Or are you a bit more all over the place when you furnish? Because I'm actually interested. I do both, depending on how I feel and what my mood is and whether or not I have a clear idea of what I want. Some builds I do room by room, and others I do like I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I will do all the curtains and then I'll go around and I'll do all the toilets and then I'll go around and do all the baths and the showers and all the cabinets at once, things like that. But yeah, I would love to know, how do you do it? Do you do it room by room, or are you just all over the place like me at the moment? Leave a comment below, and I will get back to you. But yeah, I would love to know. Please tell me, am I the only one that is crazy enough to go all around the house like that? Or is that just because I don't have a vision? Do you find that? If you have a vision, it's easy, and if you don't, it's really just bleh. Anyway, I'm putting in the curtains. I was only allowed to use base game and cats and dogs for this particular build, so that limited me a lot. I wouldn't say I struggle to do limited packs. I just prefer not to. I find it much more detailed when I can use all of the packs, because you get all those extra clutter items, you get all those extra debug items, and I don't know, I just feel the builds are fuller when you can use a lot of different packs. But considering that I was only allowed to use 2, I think this build came out okay. I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I'm really trying to work on custom furniture at the moment that's not CC, because I see so many builds that I see the photos on like Instagram or Facebook, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. How did they? Oh wait, it's custom content. Nope, leave it alone. But I really want to broaden the horizons with creating like base game items. You might have seen on one of my recent uploads to the gallery, I created a little nursery, and I finally figured out a way to make a base game only custom cot that is functional. So I was so pleased with myself. I spent a long time grinning like a Cheshire cat because I had found out a way to do it. And I'm sure plenty of other people have, and this is old news to many of you. But for me, I was quite impressed. So yeah, I worked hard on these custom desks with my base game objects and cats and dogs, just to try and change it up a little bit, give it a bit more flair. I get bored with the objects sometimes, and I feel like I get in a rut. So trying to just shake it up a little bit, come up with some new ideas, and yeah, this is the desk that I ended up with, which I think is cute. I then decided to move on to upstairs, and then I realised that my roofs were not cooperating. Typical. So I had to fix it up a little bit. Got annoyed with it, went back downstairs to clutter up a bit more. And if I'm honest, I was kind of avoiding some of the rooms because, as I mentioned before, this was a house designed for specific Sims. And at this point in time, I only had information about the matriarch and her husband. So I knew what they liked, what they didn't like. I knew that they were wealthy. So I tried to stay with the, I don't know, the communal areas, I guess, and do like their bedroom, the outdoor area, and furnish all of that while I was waiting to find out the other Sims that were going to be in this household. So there was a fair amount of avoidance of the second story after I realised the roofing had been fixed. I still avoided it because that's where I had put the rooms for the 2 adult children. I tried to keep it basic outside, being that it was such a large lot. I didn't want to put too much in. So I kind of just spaced it out a little bit and put in just a couple of things, like a few activities, a bar area, a fire pit, which is functional, by the way. I put a fireplace there, and so they can use that little fire pit area. Just FYI before I forget. As you can see, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. I'm at that point where I'm just going through the list of activities and seeing what I wanted to add in. I tell you what I did struggle with, and that was sticking to this style when I was building. I really struggled with it because I'd been building like boho apartments, trying to practice that. And so I was still sort of stuck in the boho ways. And it took a lot of effort to not go in that direction. You may have seen my videos. Oh, here's that fireplace. Yes, see? Functional, fully functional there. Just quick side note. But yeah, you might have seen the videos that I'm talking about of my apartment walkthroughs. If not, there is a link up in the top right hand corner now. You can go and check that one out if you like. I used custom artwork from the gallery that isn't CC for the first time ever, and I'm actually quite pleased with how it turned out. And now I understand why so many people use it in their builds, because it just makes it look and feel so much more realistic. But I always feel that I'm cheating when I use it. I know that sounds bad, and the people who love custom content are probably giving me death looks right now, but I do. I feel like I'm cheating, and I wish that I didn't feel that way. So I'm trying to get over that by putting custom artwork into my builds more often. I didn't with this one because we couldn't have it flag up as CC, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware that some of the stuff on the gallery that is not custom content still gets flagged as such. So I just avoided it for this build. But yes, I am trying to really get onto that custom artwork bandwagon, because I understand now why it's so popular. I just need to find some that are not going to be flagged as CC. So if you have any good links for that, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm sure I would love to check them out, as would some of the viewers. So put them below. As you can see, I finally got over my fear of the second story. I didn't know what to do with this area. I'd used a lot of the activity items and hobby items already, and I already had a study. So I just decided to make it another sitting area. I feel like rich people have a lot of those. And I went round and just put the blinds in everywhere, because those are the two rooms that I didn't really know what to do with yet. I needed more information on the Sims that were going in there. And so I thought, well, I'll put the bathrooms in at the very least, because that will be the same as the rest of the house. And I suppose I can work out the rooms. And then I realized I didn't have a toilet on the first floor, and the two bathrooms that I had were in the bedrooms, like they were en suites. I had to quickly add in just a little toilet to the side there on the second story, just in case the snobby rich people wanted to keep people out of their en suites and didn't want them traipsing through their bedrooms. And on the top story here, I wanted it to be mostly for the matriarch and her husband. And with the limited floor plan space that I had, I made one side for their room and an ensuite and just like a little, I don't know, sitting area. And then the other side I intended to make like an attic. So that was the plan. I put in all the wallpaper, the tiles, did all that first, and then started working on the master bedroom, or the master ensuite. This is probably my favorite room in this build, purely for the fact that I loved how the bathtub worked out. So if you're not sure about this, you can put half walls around bathtubs, and they will be functional so long as you hold Alt and shift them forward just slightly. They will work just fine. People claim that this is also doable, the walls around, for hot tubs. Every time I try, it doesn't work for me. But I've seen other people do it. So clearly, I'm doing something wrong. I will work on that more. I thought it could be done with debug objects. Some work, some don't. Some are functional, some are not. So I think maybe a little bit of it is trial and error and just working out which objects do work and which ones don't. Some of them, especially debug objects, will register as a wall, so obviously the Sims can't get through, but others don't. It's really weird. But yeah, this bathroom is by far my favourite part of this build. And yeah, I think the bathtub is what does it for me, the spa bath. And maybe the tiles as well. I don't often use these tiles. I have my other favourites in other packs, but being forced to use them, I actually quite liked them. And I might use them more often. I'm becoming a fan of base game builds, and I find that a lot more people download them from the gallery, and I'm assuming it's because it's just more accessible to people. Everybody can take it and do what they want with it because everybody has base game. So yeah, I've been on a bit of a roll with the base game builds lately. Enjoying the challenge of creating base game only. But secretly, yes, I do still love all the packs because I feel like I get more variety there. I wanted to sort of create a built-in bed here. Just felt like the master bedroom needed to be a little bit more fancy, not stock standard. So, and of course I was working with just the space that I had. So I tried to get a little bit creative here. And as you can see, I could not make up my mind on what I wanted behind there. I knew I wanted mirrors, but I couldn't find ones that would fit. And then eventually I went with these ones. And I just used a little bit of clutter. Not much. I had to shrink the tables down and move them out of the way to get the lamps on. The dog bed at the end, I feel like the dog would sleep in with the owners if it were that spoilt. And you can see that I decided to create like a walk-through wardrobe. And obviously, like they walk through either side. It's kind of like a his and a hers wardrobe. And then they walk through that into the bathroom. So I really like bathrooms or main bedrooms that have this type of setup where they've got the his and the her wardrobe and the his and her sinks in the bathroom. I feel like it's something that a lot of more wealthy homes have. I didn't really know what to do with this area over here. I had originally intended it to be like a suite so that they could have like their own little living area, things like that. But obviously I didn't leave myself a great deal of room when I did the floor plan because I built exterior to interior, as I said earlier. So I decided to put a piano there instead. I didn't have anything in the house that was going to help with like the piano skill. So I decided to put that in there and fill up that space. I didn't really have much else to do in the main room. There wasn't enough space to kind of do anything else. So I put a few chairs out on the balcony just to make a cute little sitting area where they could sit and have their cup of tea, coffee in the morning. And then I moved on to another area. So this is the attic that I was talking about. I wanted it to be really cluttered and to have like that storage feel, but then I also wanted it to be somewhat functional as well, purely because I didn't want to waste a whole room on just clutter. So I had the idea to put in like the little playhouse for the child sim. And I just imagined that it's a big old house and the children like to go exploring. And when they go up into the attic, they find this vintage old dollhouse, and that's where they like to go and play and hang out. Kids, for some reason, are drawn to spaces like that. So that was what I was thinking. And I also thought maybe like a card table. They have their little card games hidden away in the attic. And then I realized that I hadn't put the playhouse in, so I went back and fixed that up. Trying to get it all to fit was a little tricky because I wanted to make sure there was enough space for them to be able to move around. And obviously, when you build with move objects, which I am doing, sometimes they get a little stuck if you don't play test it. So I've moved on to the little pool house. This is where the outcast family are going to be living. And once again, I did not leave myself a lot of space, so trying to work out the floor plan to give them everything they needed was a little bit of a challenge. I had to make sure I condensed it right down. The kitchen is quite small, but it's got everything they need, and I have no doubt that they'll end up in the main house anyway. But I kept it quite simple, and the colour scheme is sort of the same as the main house, but slightly different. The family that's going to be in here liked the colour orange, so it kind of fit in really well with what I'd already started building. And I didn't want it to be too cluttered. Again, using move objects and with the limited space, it was just going to be much more functional if there wasn't too much going on. And I figured that, being that they were outcasts, their lives were a little more simple, so they didn't need all the glitz and glam like the main house. I think I took a little break here before I came back to this build. I don't know about you, but when I do really big builds, sometimes I kind of lose, I don't know, it's not losing motivation. I just start to rush through to try and get it finished because it's taking so long. And that's when things don't turn out as well as they could. So I had to force myself to take a break and then come back to it. Because I just the way I was putting things out and the way that I was finishing was just really, I don't know, just blur. So took a break, came back, felt a bit more refreshed, and continued on with the pool house. I'm working on the child's room. I think they really liked orange and needed like a study area, like a play area. So I put in the little table, being that it was a child, so that they could develop some skills. And again, lack of space meant that I didn't want to go too crazy with the clutter. So I did keep it a little bit more basic. A few posters on the wall to decorate it. And that was pretty much it. Just enough to give it that lived in feeling, but not too much that it was just like it was not functional. I went back into the main house and continued on with the bathrooms. I still didn't have a direction for the two adult Sims that were going to be occupying these rooms. So I did the bathrooms because, as I said earlier, it was going to be the same as the rest of the house, being that it was in the main house. And I wanted it to be, again, glitzy, a little bit rich feel. So I did the freestanding bathtub. I feel like that's something that a lot of rich people have is the freestanding tubs. It just makes it feel more posh, I guess. But I really didn't know how I was going to lay out the rooms. So I did everything in my power to avoid it. And as I was working on the bathrooms, I kind of thought, well, where else can I decorate after this? Because really all that was left was those two rooms. And so again, I took another break, waited for some information, and then it turns out that one of the adult Sims, the girl, she was really into fashion, really into pink, and she was kind of like a Paris Hilton wannabe. So once I had that direction and I'd sort of sat and thought about it, I eventually bit the bullet, came back, and started building. So I guess because I knew pink was the colour, that made it much easier to start the room. I just went with the blinds and the bed, like the generic stuff. And that's when I thought maybe I wanted to put in like a bit of a backboard and a shelf above the bed, because I didn't really see anywhere else in the room that I'd be able to put a shelf where it wouldn't be like too much. And I wanted it to look a little bit different. I find the beds are quite boring. So I used some debug objects, as you can see, and the base game nightstands to create just this little shelf slash backboard to the bed. I did try and put like the immaculate shelving there, but it didn't work because it wasn't wide enough. So I put the mirrors in and decided to clutter it up with a lot of pink, pink everywhere. I may have gone a little overboard with the pink, I don't know, but that was the description I was given. Pink, everything. Did you know that you can actually filter through items? You can do it by pack or you can do it by color. So you can see that everything that's popping up is pink. So I filtered by pink because I knew that was the theme of the room. So just a little hot tip there, if you are doing a room and you're searching for items in a specific color, you can see on the right hand side of the screen, just above the build objects, there's that little panel, and you can see it's got base game and cats and dogs written in there at the moment. So that little panel there, if you click on the arrow, you can select by, packs or colors, and I think there's a few other options as well, but they're the two that I mainly use. And it just makes going through the items and finding what you need that little bit easier, especially if you don't have any mods to help filter it, or if you have a lot of packs. It just makes it so much quicker and easier and time efficient to be able to filter through that way. So that's pretty much the girls' room, just a few extra details as I was going through the items, just a little bit of clutter. I was left with this little area here, and once again had no idea what to put there because I'd used pretty much every object in terms of hobbies and skills, and I didn't really want to repeat what I had. But when I thought about it, one of her, I think her aspiration was that she wanted to be like, have the best parties or whatever it was. So I thought, well, I'll just create like this little sitting area, because I would imagine that, if she had friends over, they'd probably sit there in their own little private spot and have the music on and have a few drinks and like chill. So that was that. And then I moved on to the second bedroom upstairs. And this was for the male sim. And he was also really into fashion and was a blogger as well. So I put a computer desk in for him. And he also had a vanity, according to the person who was creating this sim, needed like a makeup vanity as well. So I replicated the same sort of style as the other room. As you can tell, he liked green. So green everything. Don't forget that there is a part 1 to this. So this video is only the interior of this build. If you'd like to see the exterior and how that was constructed, don't forget to check out part 1 of this video, which is up in the top right hand corner now. We are pretty much toward the end of this video. So thank you for watching. If you do have any questions about any of the things that you've seen in this video, please leave a comment. If you have any request builds, I do take requests, so feel free to connect with me either in the comments below or reach out to me at DeeK Sims on Facebook or Instagram. I do like a challenge, so if you have something for me, let me know. And I just want to finish off by saying thank you to everyone who is supporting me by watching my videos or following me on my socials. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching my video, guys. If you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. And also click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on new content. You can also check me out on my socials.